History, historical events, and our past is really fascinating. Learning about my past and my ancestors and their lives makes my mind travel to distant places and times, like a movie in your head. These are stories that films are made of and based upon. I've been doing genealogy research for over 30 years, and this series is all about my ancestors and where I come from. These are my bloodlines. Oh, hey there, you here already? I was just about to get started. Welcome to the first episode of Bloodlines. Bloodlines is my YouTube channel where I take you back in time and history and travel through and around the world virtually through my ancestors and through my bloodlines. My intention is to show you some fascinating people and tell you a little bit about their stories, and hopefully you will find it interesting and maybe even learn something during the ride. So in every episode we will start from me as a base and go backwards in time. And in this first episode I will bring you back 1,000 years in time to meet the first Viking king of England. Yes, you heard it right. Viking king of England. Do you know who it was? Well, join the ride and we'll find out. So, okay, we start here with me, Thailand Tom, my mother, my grandfather, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandfather, and so on. And we're gonna jump back in time a little bit. We're gonna surpass a couple of people, a couple of generations. Not that they're not important, because they are, but they deserve a video of themselves, of their own. But in this video, we're going back to the Viking king. So we're gonna stop here a little bit with Botila of Risby. In 1540 she was born, and this is right during the time of the Vasa period of Sweden. Her father was Arvid Pedersen Kose. He was a nobleman and a squire, and a hövitsman, which really was an old Swedish title for a military commander, really. And so he was in the army of Gustav Varsa. Let's talk a little bit about Gustav Vasa. Gustav Ericsson Vasa was king of Sweden from 1523 to until his death 1560. In reality, he was the king from 1521, or protector of the realm, or something like that, when he faced the Danish king Christian II after the terrible Stockholm massacre in 1520, when Christian basically took Sweden. Gustav and his troops took on Christian II in the Swedish War of Freedom, Svenska frihetskriget, and was victorious, and this was the inevitable split between Sweden and Denmark, basically forever. Gustav I Vasa has subsequently been labeled the founder of the modern Sweden and the father of the nation. Gustav liked to compare himself to Moses, whom he believed to also have liberated his people and established a sovereign state. During his 37 years rule, he also broke with the Roman Catholic Church and the Lutheran Church of Sweden was formed under his personal control. So that's a little bit about Gustav Vasa. We're not going to go in too much on him because he's not in the line, at least not this line. So let's move on. Botila's father was Arvid. As I told you, he was a herdsman, squire, and a nobleman. And her mother was Margareta Drake of Uglebo. Drake is like a drake in English, so I guess I could take that, the Drake name, but Drake means dragon, really. She was the daughter of another squire, Birger Magnusson Drake. And I'm going to make a video about him later on, so I'm not going to go into his history right now. We're going to look at her mother instead, Botila Nilsdotter Krumme. She was born in 1460 and lived until 1530, so a pretty long life at the time. And she was the daughter of another squire in this time, his name was Nils Svensson Krumme. Now we are still in Sweden, but here we're gonna make a jump because the family moved, or didn't move, the family came to Sweden from Denmark, so now we are back in Denmark with Nils Svensson Krumme's mother, Botila Abildgard. Abildgard, old Danish noble name, like the old nobles. She was born in 1390 and lived until 1458. She was the wife of the Swedish squire Swain Back Krumme and moved to Sweden subsequently. Her father was Claus Nielsen Abildgard, a Danish count at the time, and his father Niels Timmesen Abildgard, also a count in the Danish court, and he was born in 1320. 1320, 700 years ago. Time goes by fast. He lived 50 years, 1370. His mother was Sophie Abildgard, and she was the daughter of a knight called Anders Stigsen Vide. Vide is also one of the really old Danish noble families. They actually more or less owned all of Denmark at some time geographically, the Vide family. And Anders Stigsen Vide, he personally owned almost like half of one of the islands, Sjælland, in Denmark. And Denmark is made up with basically three islands. Two big ones and one smaller one, and Sjælland and Jylland and Fyn. And he owned basically a quarter of the country by himself, and the rest of his family another 50% or so. Anyway, Sophie Abildgard's mother was Margarete Vide, and father was then Anders Stigsen Vide, the knight, as I told you. We're gonna go back in time. I'm gonna jump a little bit. This is interesting though. Now it's starting to be really, things are happening here. I'm getting all giddy here, but I'm trying to control myself a little bit. I'm gonna move forward a little bit faster because we're gonna go back another 200 years or so. So Margarete Vide, she was the daughter of the night Niels Galskudlendi Kars of Sparre in Denmark, and he was married to Eline Nilsdatter Lange, who was the daughter of Niels Pedersen Lange, who was a chamberlain in Denmark. His father was Peter Margretesen Herlufsen, also a royal chamberlain in Denmark, and his mother was Margrethe Vida of Knardrup. Cheers. She was the daughter of Princess Cecilie Sverkersdatter Vide of Scania. Scania is the southern part of Sweden, Skåne, that at this time was part of Denmark. So she was the princess of the southern part, or actually it will be eastern part of Denmark at that time. And Princess Cecilie Sverkersdatter was married to Sune Ebbesen Vide, a Danish nobleman at the time, and his father was Ebbe Skjalmsen Vide, also a nobleman, of course. He was the son of Fru Signe Asbjørnsdatter, who was the wife of Jarl Skjalm Tukkesen Vide. Jarl is equivalent of Earl, Jarl, Earl. And she was the daughter of Asbjørn Ulfsen Sprakling, who was the Jarl of Denmark at this time, and brother of King Swain II. So he was Jarl of Denmark, meaning that the king, Swain, was the king of a larger area, but we're gonna go look at him in another video. Asbjørn Ulfsen Sprakling was the son of Princess Estrid Margrethe of Denmark, and she was the daughter of Queen Sigrid Storråda, or Queen Sigrid the Naughty. And here we are coming back in time to really interesting things. By the way, Asbjørn Ulfsen Sprakling, the son of Princess Estrid I'm talking about now, he was born in 1022, exactly 1,000 years ago. This is mind-boggling, really. Back to Princess Estrid, her mother, Queen Sigrid the Naughty Storråda, and she was married to, drumroll, the first Viking king of England. You figured out who it was yet? King Swain the First Forkbeard Haraldsen. King Swain Forkbeard. This is so cool. He was born 960 and died 1014. He was born in Denmark and died in England. He died as the King of England. He was the King of Denmark, Norway, and England. This was a big kingdom at the time. So, let's talk about King Swain. Swain, he was a rebel from the beginning. In the mid-980s, he led a revolt against his father and seized the throne. His father was led into exile and died just shortly after. Before Sigrid the Haughty Storråda married Swain, she was proposed to by the king of Norway, Olaf Tryggvason. However, he insisted that in order to marry, she must convert to Christianity, to which she responded, "I shall not abandon the faith that I have previously held, as have my kinsmen before me. I shall also make no objection to you believing in whatever God you like." In a rage, Olaf struck her with a glove, And Sigrid calmly turned to him and said, "That could well cost you your life." And they parted. Later on, Sigrid pushed Swain into a war with Olaf because Olaf slapped her. Swain built an alliance with the Swedish king Olaf Skötkonung and Erik Håkonarson, Jarl of Lade, part of Norway, against the Norwegian king Olaf Tryggvason. The allies attacked in the year 1000 and defeated King Olaf in the Battle of Svolder. That's what happens when you make a woman angry. Record shows that Swain's involvement in raids against England was in 1002 to 1005, 1006 to 1007, and 1009 to 1012. 3 different campaigns. Swain's invasion was partly motivated by revenge of the massacre of Danes in England ordered by Ethelred the Unready in 1002, in which his sister and his brother-in-law were killed. The main motivation for the raids was more likely the prospect of revenue, though. He was a Viking, although. In 1013, the year 1013, he is reported to have personally led his forces into a full-scale invasion of England. On Christmas Day 1013, Swain was declared King of England. Based in Gainsborough, Lincolnshire, Swain began to organize his vast new kingdom, but he died on this place on February 3rd, 1014, having ruled on England for only 5 weeks. However, he was the first Viking king of England. Swain's daughter, Prince Estrid, who I talked to you about before, was the mother of King Swain II of Denmark. Her descendants continue to reign Denmark to this day. Isn't that incredible? 1,000 years later. One of them, Margaret of Denmark, married James III of Scotland in 1469, introducing Swain's bloodline into the Scottish royal house. After James VI of Scotland inherited the English throne in 1603, Swain's descendants became monarchs of England again. Yes, what a life. In the next episode of Bloodlines, we will take a look at Swain's father and his life. That is really interesting. I really urge you to look at that. And perhaps even go a little bit further back in time. We'll see. Don't miss that. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button so you get notified when I post a new video. If you like this video, please click the like button below and feel free to share it and make a comment on it. Thank you for watching and see you again soon.